Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG. I'm your host Aaron, and for today's video we're headed to the world of Diablo 4. I'm going to be breaking down for you, in my opinion, Barbarian and Druid, those two classes specifically, what I think is going to be meta, what I think is going to be awesome for Season 2, and get you pointed into the right direction, including my wild card builds for each season that have a potential to be absolutely awesome. Right now, we are on the website Icy Veins. If you don't know, I am one of the Icy Veins writers, and I take care of all of Barbarian and Werewolf for Druid. Okay, so these are my two, and these are the two we are going to focus on first. Starting off with the Druid. Ooh, any Druid fans out there? And my first build we're going to talk about that I think is going to be awesome in Season 2 is Lightning Storm Werewolf. Now, if you don't know what this build is, you are basically a werewolf, but you cast lightning. And it does feel weird when you play this build at first. I do have the YouTube video linked here if you want to see what it looks like. And by the way, all the links for all of these builds will be in the description below. Now, let me explain to you why I think Lightning Storm Werewolf is going to potentially be an S tier meta build for Season 2. As you look at vampiric powers, which is going to be the seasonal mechanic, there are two in here that really stand out for Lightning Storm Werewolf. First one is Rampart. After not moving for 3 seconds, you gain a barrier for 40% of your maximum life for 6 seconds. This effect can only occur every 20 seconds. Now, for this build, if you've ever played it or if you watch the YouTube video, you are standing still a lot as you are channeling your Lightning Storm. And because of this, you're going to get a big boost to your survivability, and you're going to be able to trigger this every 20 seconds. And I know 20 seconds is a long time, but when you think about when you need that survivability for that boss fight, as long as you only hold it 2 seconds, you could let go. So you're going to be able to trigger it kind of when you want, but overall, it's going to give you a big damage boost. Now, the other one is Bathe in Blood. While channeling a skill, you form a pool of blood beneath you. While channeling a skill in a pool, your channeled skills deal 40% increased damage, and you gain 30% damage reduction. A pool can only form once every 8 seconds. So Bathe in Blood with Rampart combined, you're going to see a big boost to Lightning Storm Werewolf. And you got to remember, this is already kind of a meta AS tier build, so it is only going to get better if you like this play style for Druid. Last but not least, a lot of people, even to today, cannot find the Tempest Roar unique helmet. So I think as an added bonus, now that you could target farm this, it's going to make these builds more available to everyone. So that is obviously a plus. Now, the next build we're going to talk about, in my opinion, will likely be maybe the most fun, if not the best build of any builds for Season 2. And that is Stormclaw. I absolutely love this build. It's so much fun to play. It's also very straightforward, and it is one of the rare builds that is focused around your generators. We are using Claw and Storm Strike. And again, just like Tempest Roar, you can target farm Great Staff of the Crone, so hopefully it is easier to get the uniques you need for these builds. Now, why is Stormclaw going to be awesome for Season 2? Again, we are going down to our vampiric powers, and there are two vampiric powers that are focused on basic skills. First one is Hectic. For every 5 basic skills you cast, one of your active cooldowns is reduced by 2 seconds. The other one is Moonrise, and this one is going to be just ridiculous. Hitting an enemy with the basic skill grants you 4% attack speed for 10 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Upon reaching maximum stacks, you enter a vampiric blood rage, gaining 160% basic skill damage and 15% movement speed for 10 seconds. But we are not done. Undying, we're going to be able to cast skills healing 3% life, double the bonus while below 50% high health, and we're going to be hitting so often it's going to be easy to trigger this. We are also going to have Ravenous, which is lucky hit chance that boosts your attack speed by your total movement speed, and Claw, which is your main skill, has a 50% lucky hit chance. So you are going to be triggering Undying and Ravenous and Hectic and Moonrise all the time. And on top of that, with Anticipation, it's going to be much easier combined with Hectic to keep up your Grizzly range the entire time. Like, obviously that needs to be tested, but the vampiric powers for Stormclaw are just, I mean, they almost could not be more perfect. Okay. Very excited for this build. Now, my wild card for Druid. Okay, you ready for my wild card? This is Roaring Fleshrender Druid, and this is based upon the Fleshrender unique mace. Okay, now the C tier, not an amazing build for season 1, but as a wild card for season 2, we are going to have to wait and see. Now, why could this potentially be awesome for season 2? Well, we got to go over to the patch notes for that, and we got to take a look at Fleshrender. Damage while shapeshifting affix increased by 100%. Damage while healthy affix replaced with core skill damage. The damage dealt to poisoned enemies from Debilitating Roar and Blood Howl is now increased by 10% multiplicative for each 100 willpower you have. Yes, Fleshrender, Roaring Fleshrender, is now a willpower stacking build based upon the Fleshrender unique. So the question is, how much willpower can we get, and what is that going to do to multiplicative damage based upon our poisoned enemies? I don't know, but it is definitely a wild card for season 2. Okay. So that's what I've got for Druid. Obviously, there's a lot of good builds. Lightning Storm Werewolf, Stormclaw, and Roaring Fleshrender is what I think is going to be fun and great for season 2. Now, we're moving over to Barbarian. And again, I write every single guide for Barbarian. There is 8 core guides, and then Whirlwind, Shout of the Ancients, and Rend all have variations inside of them. So really, there's 11 different builds. And the first build we're going to start with, you might actually be surprised, that I think is going to be awesome for season 2, is Upheaval. Now, Upheaval has actually gotten a lot of love since the game launched, but a lot of people, just not enough love. And in here, there's a couple of reasons why I am excited for Upheaval. Now, one, any build focused around shouts. Shouts are now going to give you Fortify based upon your maximum life instead of your minimum. So it's going to give you more survivability, but more specifically for Upheaval, okay, the skill itself got a buff, okay, right here. So base damage increased from 0.7 to 0.77, so closer to 0.8. And right here, Furious Upheaval, bonus damage per stack increased from 5% to 12, and maximum number of stacks reduced from 10 to 6. Now, while I was streaming the campfire chats, people were asking me, why would they do this? Lower the stacks, but up the damage. The idea is simple. So if you had 5% and it took you 10 attacks to get 10 stacks, that would give you 50% increase. Well, now it's only going to take you 6 attacks to get to 12% increase, which is going to give you a 72% increase. So you're getting more damage faster on a higher base. Okay. So you're not going to have to attack 10 times and then use Upheaval. Now, if you want maximum, you're going to have to do it 6 times and it's going to be a bigger hit. But this alone is not going to make Upheaval absolutely awesome. It's definitely a start, but it's not enough. What makes Upheaval potentially a awesome build for season 2 is in its unique, and that is the Hellhammer got another. This is the 3rd buff on this item. Critical strike damage affix replaced with bonus ranks to Upheaval. So you normally can't get ranks to a skill on the weapon. You can now with Hellhammer, and this is the big one. Burning damage, or damage to burning enemies affix increased by 150%. That's a lot of damage. So with the boost to Hellhammer, with the boost to Upheaval by itself, and the boost to shouts with being able to make enemies vulnerable more often because of Prey of the Week, I think Upheaval is going to be awesome. We'll have to wait and see, but I think it's going to be pretty darn good. And just FYI, in my opinion, Upheaval is the best way to level a Barbarian, and the Upheaval leveling guide is also linked below. Okay, so it's kind of nice that if you start season 2 as Upheaval leveling, you can literally take it into endgame and see how it scales. All right. Last but not least, under Barbarian for core is Whirlwind. Now, Whirlwind Barbarian spin to win. It's still going to be awesome. Okay, there's nothing in here where like this new unique is going to make it better or this vampiric power is going to push it through the roof. But overall, spin to win is still going to be classic. It's still going to be meta for Barbarian. And since again, shouts are going to be using Fortify based upon the maximum amount instead of the minimum, it's going to give you more survivability. Now, when it comes to needing extra damage inside of Whirlwind, just like Lightning Storm Werewolf, we have the Bathe in Blood major power. While channeling a skill, you form a pool of blood underneath you. While channeling a skill in the pool, your channeled skills deal 40% increased damage and you gain 30% damage reduction. A pool can only form every 8 seconds. Now, there are people that think this will be terrible for Whirlwind, and in some cases it will be because you are never standing still. You are moving as you whirlwind, which means the pool will always be behind you. And when you're running dungeons, for the most part, that will be true, with the exception if you're the person like me that gathers a huge pack and then kills them all at once. Where this is great and is going to matter a lot is for boss fights. So even though during normal runs, you're probably not going to be around your pool, when you are whirlwinding a boss, you are whirlwinding in a circle right around it. And you're going to be getting 40% increased damage and 30% damage reduction when it matters. That is what's important for Bathe in Blood. When it matters, this is going to do a lot for you. Okay, so that being said, core Whirlwind Barbarian triple shout is still going to be awesome. And just keep in mind, though, for Whirlwind, the reason why some people are down on it is Supreme Wrath of the Berserker. The maximum damage bonus is now only multiplicative 100%, which is still great, but it can't go higher than 100%. All right. Now, wild card. My wild card for Barbarian for season 2 is Leap Quake. And Leap Quake was already so much fun. This is actually what I started season 1 with, was my Leap Quake build. And there is something very important coming to Leap Quake that is going to make it so much stronger. And that is right here, the brand new Rumble Glyph. For every 5 strength purchased within Rage, your Earthquake deals 13.2 to 39.4 increased damage, up to almost 40% increased damage. Additional bonus, you deal 10% multiplicative increased damage to crowd-controlled enemies and bosses for each active Earthquake. And it is really easy to have 3 or 4, if not 5 at sometimes, active Earthquakes on the field. So with the Rumble Glyph, and honestly, Leap Quake already got some buffs for season 1. I am thinking this might be up there. I know it sounds crazy. It might be up there, at least A tier with Rend, with Hammer of the Ancients, with Whirlwind when it comes to end game. But again, that's why it's wild card, because we have to test it. So that's what I've got for you. Okay. Druid, Lightning Storm, Storm Claw, Roaring Fleshrender. For Barbarian, Upheaval, Core Whirlwind, Triple Shout, and Leap Quake. I can't speak for Rogue, can't speak for Source, can't speak for Necro, but I can definitely speak for Barbarian and Druid. That's all I've got. I know everybody's got a different opinion, and I want to know yours. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, especially if I missed something. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I have earned it. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. Thank you to the first 86 members that have signed up. I get asked all the time, Aaron, what is the best way to support? And Patreon is it. And you get the most benefits, including my studio tour and the bonus hour of the podcast and access to the VIP lounge and my new blooper reels that are coming. So it should be a whole lot of fun. I'll be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So the next 8 days in a row. And we are going to be starting off season 2 for D4 on Tuesday with a Barbarian Upheaval. That's all I've got. I'm always available if you need me. Check out the Discord. It's linked in the description. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.